everyone, this is Mrs. Hamilton and I'm here with another art lesson. Today we are going to be making rocket ships blasting through space. These are some of the materials that you are going to need. We're going to need 2 pieces of white piece of paper, 9x12 construction, or you could use copy paper, but I do recommend using construction paper because it's thicker, and we will be using a little bit of water, and if you use it on the thinner copy paper, it could tear the copy paper. However, if you don't want to use water, later on when we do our marker with watercolor or marker watercolors, then you could just color. That's fine too. All right. You are also going, for this particular project, you're going to need pencil. We're going to use a little bit of pencil for drawing. We're going to be cutting out a few things with scissors. We're going to be gluing a few things together, so you'll need some glue. And then we're also going to be using crayons and also a little bit of water and a paintbrush. So you want to, for later on. Again, it's optional. Some of this is optional, but this is what I'm doing for this lesson. So you might want to grab at least a few of these things. And then also down in the details, I have some different, a guide sheet that shows you different bodies for the rockets, the exhaust, where the exhaust comes out, and then the different types of fins. So you can print that out and use that as an example. I will be pulling this out every once in a while to show you how I'm using the example. All right, guys, we're gonna have fun today, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, for the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna create our rocket ship and fire coming out. We're gonna save one of the papers for our background. So you're gonna put that to the side until we're ready for it. The next one is going to be we're going to cut this into 2 parts because we want one for the rocket ship and one for the fire. So the first thing you wanna do is turn your paper vertical hamburger or portrait position, and then take it from the bottom, line up the 2 corners to fold in half. Hold it with your helper hand and then press on the fold. If it's not perfectly folded, that's fine because we are going to be cutting both of these things. You're going to open it up. It's going to give you a crease line. You're going to take your scissors and cut on that crease in half. So you have 2 pieces of paper. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take one of your pieces of paper. We're going to start with some fire. And you're going to pull out some yellow and some orange markers. Okay. Yellow and orange. We're going to be making some lines with our yellow and orange. We're going to start with the yellow because it's the lightest of the 2 colors. I'm going to open it up, marker lid on the back so you don't lose it. Keep your orange nearby because you're going to need it soon. And we're going to make sure our papers turn vertical hamburger or portrait position. And starting at the top, we're going to do a couple different lines. We're going to do some zigzag lines, zigzag, zigzag, zigzag from top to bottom, wavy lines, and swirly lines where we're going to swirl, go down and swirl, swirl. And we're going to do a couple of these, and we want to put a little bit of space. I'm going to do another swirl right here. And maybe another zigzag right here, but leave some space. Don't just cover the whole thing. Gonna close up that marker and pull out your orange. And we're gonna overlap with one or more of these same lines. So I'm gonna do maybe a swirly line, do a little overlapping, maybe a little wavy line, maybe a zigzag line over here. And maybe another swirly line over here. I'll add some more to the left, and it's okay if there's a little bit of overlapping. I'm going to do another wavy line over here and another zigzag line with a little bit of overlapping. I feel like it needs something right there too. So filling this up. Now that doesn't mean you just scribble all over it. You want to use your lines. All right, so this is our fire. I'm going to be cutting it later, so I'm going to hold on to it for a few minutes. And I'm going to pull over my other piece of paper. And this is going to be our rocket ship. So you want to make sure that your paper is turned vertical hamburger, and you want to pull out a pencil. And I have attached a couple of guide sheets. There'll be more information on here. And I'll also attach, put some pictures of rocket ships just so you can see some examples of that. And we're going to be creating our rocket ship on this piece of paper. We're going to use this whole piece of paper. So the first thing we want to decide on is what body style we want for our rocket ship. This is kind of like a firecracker looking style, more pointed, more rounded, and this is kind of like a bullet, okay? So you can choose which style you want. I think I'm gonna go with this one right here. Okay, I'm gonna put that to the side for a moment. And I'm going to start at the top. You can make a mark right in the middle so you know where to start. I'm going to start with a upside down V. That's how I start most of my rocket shapes, is I start from the top and then I'm going to go straight down. Now I could make this wider to make it a wider rocket, but I'm going to make this a thinner rocket. And I'm going to leave a little space at the bottom for the exhaust. So I'm going to make 2 vertical lines going straight down, and then I'm going to close the bottom like that. Now you could do one of the more rounded designs. I'm going to flip this to the back just to show you as an example. And again, I'm starting at the top, and this time I'm going to go rounded instead. I'm just showing you another example, and then straight down, leaving a little space at the bottom, and close it. And the exhaust is going to go right here. All right, I'm going to flip this back over. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. All right, so for the exhaust, this is where the fire comes out right here. I have 1, 2, 3 steps. So the first step is 2 curves on the sides, kind of like parentheses. I'm going to curve and close the bottom, and I'm going to add the detail. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the fins on the rocket, and I have a couple different examples of fins here. I only did one side, but you're going to mirror them on each side. I'm going to walk you through maybe 1 or 2 of these, but if you have a different idea for a fin design, you most certainly could do it. So the first one I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do the straight and pointy one. So I'm going to start at the bottom corner, and I'm going to come out at a diagonal like that on both sides. So see, I'm mirroring each other and copying each other. And then I'm going to come up from the point to the body of the rocket. So here, and I want it about the same spot because I want it to be equal, just like that. Now, if you want to do a different style here, I'll flip to this side. I know I didn't put this part, the exhaust, where the exhaust comes out, but I'm just going to do another example, or maybe a rounded. Sometimes I'll do the fins in a similar style as the body, so it kind of goes together, but you do not have to do that. You can mix and match the fin styles and the body styles, whichever way you like, up to you. Okay, I'll flip back over here. All right, we are ready for, now you could add like some other details, like for instance, a window with your pencil just for now, just to kind of get some of those details started, and maybe like a hatch to get in and out of. Again, don't have to do this. This is just an example. I'm going to now switch over to markers and do some designs. For my designs, I'm going to be using patterns to create interesting designs on my rocket ship. Okay, so patterns are when you repeat lines, shapes, and colors. So the colors I'm going to be repeating, I'm going to be repeating warm colors, so yellow, orange, and red. Up to you what you want to repeat. You can use something totally different. And the first thing I want to do with this is I want to, before I even add any type of patterning detail, I want to go ahead and outline my pencil line. So I'm going to take my marker here, and I'm going to just do a little bit of outlining. Now, if you want to use like a basic black Sharpie marker, that's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and use color because I think color is a fun way. Oops, get off my line a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to do just a little bit of outlining. And I'll just outline that too, just like that. All right. And then I can add some interesting details. So patterns that you could consider, you can consider some different types of lines. So you could do horizontal lines that repeat. You can do vertical lines that repeat. You could do wavy lines. I'm just showing you some examples, kind of get that mind going. Some zigzag lines, okay? Or even some diagonal lines if you want to do some kind of diagonal pattern. I'm going to grab my yellow as well, and I am going to, and you can also alternate the colors. So let's see, I am going to do some lines at the top here. I'll start with my yellow, maybe something like that. And oops. And then I can also add some patterns here at the bottom. Maybe start like that. Some yellow bolts around it as well, or some lines, whichever works. Also, you could add some kind of symbol on here or words. Maybe you want this to imply that it's super duper fast, and so we could do a lightning bolt like that. Something like that maybe, and color it in. Up to you. It could be a flower. You could do something really girly if you want, or something a little more tough. Your choice. You can also use repeating shapes, like repeating circles. Maybe put some circles around, you know, the edge, maybe in between the boxes. You could do rectangles, squares, repeating in alternating colors. It's up to you. One of the things I would also do, I'm going to show you a couple of quick examples. I have some other examples that I've done of some rocket ships before. Here's a couple examples, and these are cut out, which we will be doing in just a moment, where I did, again, lightning, and this time I did a square window, which is absolutely fine. And you notice I colored in black because I imagine it's hard to see inside. It's a shaded window. Added some stripes, used green and pink as my alternating colors. Here's another example of Rocketship that design, using some wavy lines, some dots. Here is another example using blues and oranges. And I really like the fin designs I did here. And I did horizontal lines and vertical lines. So you can really have some fun with your patterns and designs on your rocket ship. So take a moment and do some patterning, do some designing, and then we're going to go on to the next step. One other thing, you notice I have in one of my designs, I have a little person waving in the window. So you could do something like that. Like I could start off with a head and a neck and some shoulders. And then we could see a little bit of the arm and hand waving at us. Could add a smile, nose, eyes, and you can make it boy or girl, put some boy hair or some girl hair on, up to you. One thing I like to do sometimes is even add a little highlight in the window. So when I color in the inside of my window, I'll remember to put, I kind of made that highlight a little, let's try it a So you'll see like a little reflective light in the window. Well, can't see too much there, but that's okay. There we go. All right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to cut out our rocket ship. So you're going to grab some scissors and you're going to cut around the outside. Be careful not to cut through your wings and cut anything off. If you notice I'm moving, I like to move around the paper and keep my scissors straight when I cut. And I like to chunk it, as I say, which means you cut parts off here and there. Just like that. Throw away your trash. And then you're going to pull out your fire because it's time to cut some fire. And you're going to take one side, and I want to make sure that it's skinny enough. And so I'm going to take my paper and we're going to cut some zigzags. So I'm going to start here and here, just so you can see. And we're just going to go straight down doing some zigzags. And what you want to do for your zigzags, you want to cut out and then turn your paper, cut, turn your paper, cut, turn your paper, cut, turn your paper, cut, turn your paper, and do it. Keep doing it until you get to the end, and then cut off like that. And then we're going to do the other side, same way. Out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Okay. So this will be my top, this will be my bottom, so I'm going to give a little texture on the bottom too. So I'm going to go out, in, out, like that. So it's going to go over like this, see? And we might have to shorten this fire a little bit so it fits in our paper, but we'll try that when we get there. Okay, I'm going to take this, put it away. I'm going to put my rocket ship to the side because we're going to start our background. Okay, before we get to any kind of water, we're going to start off with crayon. And some of the colors you might want to pull out for sure is some yellow and some white. And you might need some other colors for maybe some planets. Okay, so for the white, I'm going to, before I get to the white, I'm going to start with maybe a sun. So you do not have to do a sun if you don't want to, but I'm going to go ahead and add a sun. And you want to think about where you might be placing your rocket ship, because if you just put the sun in the middle, you might end up putting your rocket ship right on top of it. So you want to be careful about that. And we're doing this before we start any of the painting. So I'm adding a really bright sun. And then I'm going to do some planets. Maybe I'll do just maybe like a colorful orange planet like that. Maybe add some red texture to it. I could even go in and do like a Jupiter. So I could do maybe a green planet and then take a darker color and do a ring. So I'm going to start on one side, see if I can start on one side, up a little higher on the planet, come out, and then in front, see I'm kind of, and then back up. See? Pretty cute. And I definitely suggest you use brighter colors because we're going to be doing a really dark background. So I'll do one more planet maybe right here. Just like that. That's pretty good. And then I'm going to take my white. I'm using a pastel because for some reason I can't find my white crayon. So, okay. And I'm just going to carefully place little circle dots for little stars. And I know you can't really see it, and that's okay if you can't. I'm just putting some stars and I'm making little tiny circles just so, because what's going to happen when I put this marker is it's going to show, hopefully show. If you want to do a little twinkle star, do a little, start with the X. I'm going to do this with a little bit of pencil so you can kind of see what I'm doing. You start with an X and then you put a line through it. So X, line through it, X, line through it. Just do a few of those. Okay. And I kind of left the center section open for when I put my rocket. All right, the next thing we're gonna do. Now, if you have watercolors and you have black watercolor, you could just take a black watercolor and just paint over this whole thing. I am going to use this sort of marker technique. I'm gonna try and make it sort of like very spacey with some of the blues and purples, but mainly using black. So what I'm going to do with the black is I'm going to use the side of black and just go over. I'm going to try not to touch my crayon at all too much. And I'm just going to add a little here and there. I'm going to start off with just a little bit. And then I'm going to take a little water. This is clear water. And use it to push and fill in. And when it gets really watery, you see the crayon stands out. It just helps us with filling the space. Now you could just take black crayon and just go over and color this black with the black crayon. That's up to you if you want to do that. I'm going to take a little blue as well, just to kind of add a little blue. Maybe a little purple. Might do that here as well, even though I've done a little bit of the, just a kind of that spacey feel. These are all very spacey colors. And take a little bit of this water again and just, and if they mix a little bit, that's fine. That's what I, kind of the effect I wanted to get from it. Ooh. So you can see how I get a little bit of that purple in there. Mix the purple that I added. And you can see this is why I suggested the thicker paper, because if you get copy paper really, really wet, it's gonna start tearing very easily. So you want a thicker paper when you're doing this particular design. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more blue. I think I'm gonna do some blue up here. Trying to stay away from the crayon I've got, because when it works better. You can see all the stars and things are starting to show up. It's best to do it with the watery parts that you do. You show the stars. So I'm kind of avoiding all those stars. Black. I'm just sort of alternating between blues and purples and blacks, just so they kind of, when I add that water, they're going to do a nice little mix and kind of have that spacey feel to it. All right, I filled this up, I think enough. Now I'm gonna continue with the water. And you can just drop some water, push it around. See in the lighter areas, I'm pushing some of that blue in those lighter areas. really see those stars now. All right, so we're gonna let this dry for a little bit, and you can, so that we can add our rocket ship to it. So you're gonna wanna put this in a safe spot for a few minutes until it's all dry, and when we're dry, we're gonna come back and put everything together. All right, I'll see you in a moment. All right, I have everything ready to go for assembling. My space sky is ready, is all dry or dry enough for now. And then I have my rocket ship cut out and my fire cut out. I might need to trim the fire a little bit because it probably will be a little too long, and that's fine. We can do that in just a moment. So the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out where you want to place your rocket ship. So you might put it here. You could put it, you know, like diagonal. I don't want it to cover up my sun, so I could do it maybe diagonal like this, okay? And you can see where it kind of is, my fire's a little too long, so I'm going to take my scissors and trim it. If you need to trim yours, go ahead. Or if you wanted to just hang off the side, that's fine too. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. Once you figure out where everything's gonna go, I'm gonna glue my fire first because it's underneath the rocket ship. We're gonna do a little overlapping. So I'm gonna take my glue, dot, dot, not a whole lot, and make sure you get around the edges. And I'm going to go right here, tap it a little bit, and then a little bit of glue. Dot, not a whole lot. Go around those edges if you need to. I'm using thicker cap on this glue, and I'm going to overlap it on my fire and tap, tap, tap. I really like how this turned out. It looks very spacey. All right, it looks like it's ready to blast away and go into space for a space adventure. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the lesson and keep creating. I'll see you next time. Bye.